Previously on Pokemon Colosseum. Welcome back to Colosseum, no more stalling, it's time for the final battle. Miltank get, Absol get, Houndoom get, Tropius get, and Ice Beam. So if you brought anything like Altaria or Flygon to this fight, you'll want to watch out for Ice Beam, because it's gonna one-shot them. Speaking of freezes, you know what? I was just thinking to myself, if anyone's going to get a freeze in this fight, it's him, right? But, yeah, and he did get a freeze. Basically, we're just slowly wearing each other down at this point. Of course! 2 freezes in 1 battle. Now, if you freeze a 3rd time... Oh my god, you're not serious. Wow. Metagross gets! And now, Kickface has fallen for the Walrein. Stupid, sexy Walrein! Why is Nazcor apologizing? I thought he was supposed to be the boss! And now... So if Nazcor isn't the boss, who is? Oh, hello there, Mayor. I trust you've got the entire situation under control. Wait a minute. It couldn't be. Could it? It's like Dr. Eggman and Dr. Wily did a fusion dance! Fusion... Ha! So yes, this fight does have music, and it's amazing. We have one final battle against, yeah, this is probably one of the biggest cases of the dog was the mastermind I've ever seen in the game. Cipher Head Evice, who was Mayor SK'd all along. Personally, I'm a bit conflicted on this plot twist. I feel like it only exists just to have a last-minute final battle. And that it was more just a twist for the sake of having a twist. There actually was foreshadowing if you think back to earlier. When we first met Nazcor, he came out of the mayor's house in Phoenix City. Also, if you go back to Phoenix City later in the game, you have that NPC saying that the mayor stormed off seeming angry for some reason. This is right after you've gone through the Shadow Pokemon lab. There's also that guy in the Under who talks about a man who made a fortune in the mines there. Now, it's possible that was referring to Evice, but it could also be referring to someone else. We'll get to that if I cover XD. Anyway, though, Evice is the strongest opponent in the game by far, at least in the main storyline. His levels are in the 60s, and he uses some of the best Pokemon out there, and they all have amazing movesets, so this battle is a real test of your skills. And I'm quite under-level for this. Okay, if I get rid of Scizor, hopefully Sol should be able to take out the Machamp. Scizor isn't anywhere near as powerful as it would be in later generations, but it's still a pretty strong Pokemon here. So, what's Evice going to be sending out next? Salamence. Remember how earlier on I talked about how you'd want Ice Beam going into the final battles? This is why. You definitely want an Ice user for this fight, because Salamence is very, very dangerous. And Machamp hits extremely hard with Earthquake. Oh, great, that's not good. I didn't expect you to get one-shotted by that. And you're weak to that, so that's going to be, yep, it's a double KO. That's not good. I'm already being forced onto the defensive here. I've only taken out one of his Pokemon so far. Definitely want Suicune here. How am I going to get rid of that Machamp? Definitely don't want Luna here, because Luna is going to be destroyed by that Machamp. I wish Kickface could have physical psychic moves in this generation, but nope, not in this gen. Oh yeah, by the way, part of that song is actually part of the Mayor's theme, which is actually a nice touch. Yeah, if you can't tell, I really like this music. Let's just quickly get rid of that Salamence, and probably should sleep out of that Machamp. It probably doesn't have Sleep Talk, because if it did, it could benefit from Guts, but like I said, probably not. Yeah, probably going to go ahead and try and revive Sol here. Because he got one-shotted before having a chance or anything. Uh-oh. Oh, no. That's not good. Nice survival there. I should point out that Aerial Ace was actually the best non-hidden power flying move Salamence had access to in Generation 3. And given that it couldn't use its Dragon stat... Oh, great, you survived that. That's not good. And yeah, Rock Slide. These Pokemon all have great movesets, so you'll need to be careful. And that's Jumpluff gone, unless you miss. Hey, nice one. Okay, I probably need to switch Jumpluff out right now, though. But yeah, some people have said that Salamence isn't as strong in Gen 3 as it is in later gens because Dragon isn't physical. No, Salamence is still one of the best Pokemon in the game, at least not counting Ubers, in Generation 3. It's that good. Even with having Aerial Ace as its only stat, it only needs that Earthquake, and in fact doesn't even need Aerial Ace sometimes. But it really doesn't need much other than Dragon Dance and a couple of physical moves. It's still that good. And it got even better when physical Dragon moves were added. But also, Salamence is a decent special attacker as well as a physical attacker, so it doesn't even mind Dragon being special in this gen. So, yeah, don't underestimate Salamence at all. Even though it doesn't have access to physical Dragon moves. It will still wreck you if you're unprepared. This Champ has also done a pretty good job of wrecking me, too, but hopefully I should be able to get rid of it. Yeah, Jumpluff is gone, I thought so. I probably should have Sleep Powdered the Salamence now I think about it, although I am confident that Suicune will be able to finish it off this turn. Okay, now that, Machamp hasn't... Okay, Machamp is asleep, so unless it wakes up immediately, Sol is safe. If I didn't put Machamp to sleep, I probably wouldn't have switched in Sol there, because I would have probably gone right into an Earthquake or something, or Rock Slide. Yep, Salamence is gone. Good riddance, that thing is scary. But that's not the only scary Pokemon that Evice has. Evice's entire team is really, really scary. Slowking. Well, actually, Slowking is not that scary. It's more scary in what it can do. In combination with a certain other Pokemon that Evice has. So that Slowking, I have a very special plan for it. What am I doing here? Maybe I'll heal Sol? I'm not sure if that was really necessary, but anyway. Okay, so let's go for the Psychic. Let's see if we can finish off this Machamp. Machamp does actually have decent special defense, so this might not KO. Okay, good, it KO'd. Right, there goes Machamp. I like Machamp's fading animation, like it's just... almost feels like it's like, yeah, screaming in frustration up at the sky. Anyway, Slacking. This is the reason why he has this Slowking. Slowking has Skill Swap, and when it and Slacking are on the field at the same time, it will attempt to use Skill Swap to get rid of Slacking's Truant ability. You want to stop this at all costs. Now, there are a few ways you can do this. You can either taunt Slowking, or take out either Slowking or Slacking as quickly as possible. So, I think that's the route that I end up going with here. Because that Slacking is devastatingly powerful if you let it get that Skill Swap up. So, yeah, I was contemplating switching to Kickface here, but I think I'm confident in doing a double target on that Slacking and just trying to take it out as soon as possible. Slacking has pretty bad special defense. Okay, that crit is definitely good, even though that didn't KO. Crush Claw. Okay, that's probably Sol gone, but you did your job excellently. That Slacking is going to go down to Surf, or Ice Beam, or whatever, and that means we should be relatively safe here. Don't really even need Kickface anymore. Well, actually, Kickface would do a great job of taking out that Slowking, but Slowking is really no threat once Slacking is gone. So yeah, you do want to get rid of the Slacking as quickly as you can, because its stats are absolutely absurd. Its attack power gives Kickface with pure power a run for his money, and that's saying something. But now we have Tyranitar. Level 55, and this is our final Shadow Pokemon for the main story. And there's obviously a certain something that the game wants you to do to this thing. Given this is the final boss of Shadow Pokemon, and that's not going to do anything. So yeah, that was aimed at slacking, but Tyranitar came out by the time that it was actually used. So yeah, the game very much wants you to do a certain thing here. Really, if I was going for a full challenge run, I probably wouldn't do this, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. This is by far the best Pokemon in the game to use your Master Ball against, or you could use it against Metagross, really either one of them. A few things I could talk about this Tyranitar though. Back in Gen 3, this was most people's first ever exposure to what a Tyranitar could do. And, nice one, camera. And here's the other thing, is that this is probably the first time people saw Sandstream, period. I remember when I first played Colosseum and I saw that Sandstream go off and I was like, okay, you got an auto weather-inducing ability, just like Groudon and Kyogre, who were the only other two Pokemon who had auto weather abilities in this generation. 1, 2, doesn't even matter, but anyway, 3, Tyranitar, get! And now we have the real Ultimate Shadow Pokemon, Tyranitar. You may be wondering why a non-legendary is worthy of the title of the Ultimate Shadow Pokemon, but if there's any Pokemon that's deserving of that, Tyranitar is a great candidate. Being a pseudo-legendary, it has a 600 base stat total, and has great stats all round except for speed. Kinda like Metagross, actually. But unlike Metagross, Tyranitar has a bit more of a spread of good stats. It has amazing attack, and great stats in HP, defense, and special defense, and decent special attack. It's both strong and bulky, but it comes at the cost of being pretty slow. It's also got a fairly interesting Rock-Dark type combination, which also lends itself well to mix sweeping in this generation. Tyranitar is another Pokemon that actually doesn't mind Dark being special in Gen 3. And you've already got a good moveset for a mixed attacking Tyranitar. Crunch, Thunder, Blizzard, Rock Slide, they're all decent moves to use. Of course, you can also go the pure physical route if you want, definitely teach Earthquake if that's the case. This will make the best use of Tyranitar's raw power, but you'll sacrifice a bit of versatility. Speaking of which, that's generally agreed to be the best thing about Tyranitar. Not its amazing stats, not even its amazing ability, but the fact that it's just so versatile. Tyranitar has had a lot of success in every competitive Pokemon generation because of the sheer number of movesets it can run. It's got a very wide move pool, and it has the stats to use a lot of different things. It's often described as one of the Swiss Army knives of Pokemon, able to fill a variety of roles depending on your team. Speaking of ability though, yes, there is that ability Sandstream, which makes it so that you automatically have a Sandstorm activated whenever Tyranitar switches into battle. Now, in this generation, it doesn't boost the special defense of rock types, which made Tyranitar even more ridiculous starting with Gen 4, but getting a bit of extra chip damage on every Pokemon on the field, and this is permanent by the way in this generation, unless somebody overwrites it with their own weather. So yeah, fantastic stats, fantastic ability, fantastic move pool. Tyranitar is a fitting Pokemon for the final capture in the main story. Once again though, this comes with a really massive heart gauge. Being the Cipher boss's Shadow Pokemon, obviously Tyranitar will not go quietly into purification. It's highly recommended that you save one of the game's 3 time flutes for this Tyranitar. So, we've now caught the Ultimate Shadow Pokemon, it's time to finish off the final battle once and for all. But yeah, it was just really intimidating to go up against, because you see that and you're like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, because nowadays everyone is familiar with Tyranitar's Sandstream and what it can do. But this was probably the first exposure most people had to that ability ever, so it was great seeing it in the final battle. Now, speaking of which, another thing about that Tyranitar, a lot of people are disappointed that the Ultimate Shadow Pokemon is not a legendary. And when I first played this game, I expected Nazcor and Evice to have Shadow Kyogre and Shadow Groudon, respectively. That would have been pretty impressive, and it would have made the final battles actually really difficult, but it would have been pretty impressive. Especially seeing as Groudon and Kyogre are on the game's box art, but are not obtainable in the game themselves, other than through transfers from Ruby and Sapphire. So, I don't know, on the one hand it's disappointing, but on the other hand, Tyranitar is a fantastic Pokemon, so it is actually quite fitting of the title of Ultimate Shadow Pokemon. And like I said, that first ever exposure to Sandstream most people had, it is really intimidating when you see it. It's like, wow, this thing can summon weather at will. Only Groudon and Kyogre could do that before. Anyway, we're almost done with this fight though. I will say that I do like Evice's battle a lot. It is pretty difficult, but it is a perfect way to cap off this game. And the music is fantastic. Not sure how I feel about Evice as a character. There is admittedly a little bit more foreshadowing to his existence than I thought there was at first. At first I thought the only foreshadowing was Nazgul coming out of the mayor's house. But anyway, a lot of people do wish that Nazgul was the boss of Cipher and not Evice, because he has a much more intimidating character design than, you know, Dr. Eggwily, which is what I like to call him. But I still love Evice's fight. I think it's a great final battle, probably one of the best final battles of all of Pokemon, considering that a lot of champion fights are not that difficult. Admittedly, this one is only difficult because there's a huge inflation in levels for the fight, but as long as you're in the mid-50s, you're probably okay here. That's why I said you should probably train up to the mid-50s. I think training up to 60 is overkill for this fight. You can win it definitely in the mid-50s. In fact, I'm winning it in the low 50s. But anyway, not quite done, but Suicune should be able to finish the job, hopefully. Good, you survived. In fact, Slowking might go down to Sandstorm. That'd be amazing, actually. Evice hoist by his own petard. Please do that, that'd be great. I guess I should also mention that Evice can sometimes use X attacks, but he didn't do that in my fight for some reason. Oh yes, that's a fantastic way to end that! Evice hoist by his own petard, beaten by his own Shadow Pokemon. Nice one. That's actually a very fitting way for him to go down. I love that. And Soul levels up too. So we have defeated Cipher Head Dr. Eggwily. And so, that's the end of Cipher's plans. And the police just happen to arrive after we've done all of their work for them. Yep, you're surrounded, Nazgul and Evice. Your plans end now. Nowhere for you to run. Oh, even Egan made it. They're all a little late, but it's the thought that counts. Will there even be a next time, though? Well, it looks like he's going to make sure there is. Also, as you can tell, that helicopter seems to be a drone that's unmanned. I love that one-liner there. A lot of people were wondering if Ho-Oh would appear in this game. And the answer is yes. Yes, it does. I see how they're referring to it as a Ho-Oh, which implies there are more than one. This is a bit of an interesting bit of backstory, although it does kind of come out of nowhere. For some reason, I often remember this line. Don't know why. Well, that already, well, actually, it said the first time you're seeing it so close, not the first time you're seeing it, period, so, guess that might be another Ash reference. And so, Ho-Oh Flying takes us out. That is the end of Pokemon Colosseum, the main storyline at least. There is still quite a bit of post-game left. And I should mention, the post-game I haven't recorded in advance. I'll have to record all of that with live commentary. I'll have to set up my either Wii or GameCube with my capture device though, so I'll need to experiment with that a little bit before I'm ready. Anyway though, this game is kind of an interesting one. For something that was really just an afterthought for the battle mode, really this game's story mode only exists just to make sure that people who don't have the GBA games still have Pokemon they can use in battle mode. But for what it is, it's better than it has any right to be. It's a really fun experience with a lot of challenging fights, and it helps you appreciate a lot of Pokemon that most people wouldn't use normally. With such limited options, you are forced to rely on Pokemon you might not consider. And some Pokemon like Entei, who normally is kind of a competitive butt monkey, are actually really good here. I have stressed that there are definitely some flaws in this game's story mode. The pacing is the biggest part. I've said this already, but after Dakim, the plot just suddenly progresses at a rapid pace. XD definitely had better pacing. I will also say, as much as I really liked the final fights, the ending was not all that satisfying to me. I think the ending is very abrupt, and XD definitely has a much better ending. And as for this project itself, I've kind of enjoyed doing post-commentary, surprisingly. Now, syncing up the audio with the video has always been a bit annoying. I apologise if there have been a few syncing issues like that, but it has been kind of fun, and I've really loved revisiting this game, even if I wasn't playing it directly this time. Of course, I'll be jumping back into playing it quite soon. Now we have the Mount Battle theme. The credits music here is pretty cool, but like a few things, I like XD's credits music better. I'm mentioning XD quite a lot. Yeah, regarding XD, I definitely plan to do that, but I might end up doing it sooner than you'd probably think. I've really loved revisiting Colosseum, and I've actually been craving more. So, depending on how I get my capture device working, there's a possibility I might go straight on to doing XD next. I didn't plan to. Also, this part of the music is great. Anyway, there'll still be a little bit of video left to go. Also, Shigeru Miyamoto produced this, I didn't notice that. And, Satoru Iwata. It's always sad seeing his name there now. 2004. Wow, it's been over 10 years. But after you've beaten the final battle, you get the opportunity to save. Once we save our file, we're ready to enter into the post-game. I'll just be showing what happens after you reload now. So, you'll appear in the outskirts stand, and we'll have gotten an email. So let's check out our P-Star DA and see what that email is all about. New system done. So we now get information about Shadow Pokemon directly. This is much more useful if you haven't snagged every Pokemon you've been seeing so far. Since I have, there are not many Shadow Pokemon that are left for that list to even cover. Also, let's see if there's anything new on the news. Really? There isn't. Nothing about how we saved the world and defeated Cipher? Yeah, that is another annoying thing about this game. Not many NPCs change their dialogue in the post-game. It kind of doesn't make sense. You know, there really should be some good news to brighten up your day. We just saved the world. Anyway, we get a second email here. This is the email that will be kicking off our first post-game quest. Also, the Kids Grid has been mistranslated as Kids Network here, which is more closer to its Japanese name. So basically, our next destination is Pyrite Town. That'll start our first post-game quest. For now, though, let's just go ahead and check out our Pokemon. They're all the same levels that they were when we beat Evice, so everything from there carries over. I should mention, if you missed any Shadow Pokemon snags during those final fights, we can't even rematch Willy yet for some reason, but if you missed any Shadow Pokemon snags, you can just go back to Relgam Tower and do all those final fights again. They all stay there, even Nazcor and Evice, despite the fact they should be arrested by now. But that's just there so that if you miss their Shadow Pokemon, you can still get them. Those two do actually have replacement Pokemon, if you rematch them. Nazcor, I believe, replaces Metagross with an Alakazam, and Evice, I think he replaces Tyranitar with Aggron, but I'm not fully sure on that. So anyway, these are all the Shadow Pokemon that we've caught in that run, also all the Shadow Pokemon that were in Relgam Tower. We've purified a lot, but I've got a lot of purification grinding to go, so, Yeah, not exactly looking forward to that, especially seeing as I have a lot of boss shadow Pokemon and only one Time Flute left to get. We all know who I'm going to be using that on. In fact, I think I might take care of that as the first thing in the post-game. It's not technically post-game, since I could have done that before, but it might get my levels up to a better standard for the post-game, because there are going to be a lot of fights in the 60s coming up. So, I think when I get back into doing the post-game... Seriously, look at that speed. Miltank is way too fast for a fat cow. But, anyway... I will be doing Area 10 of Mount Battle. Still not sure whether I'll be showing the whole area or just the final fight. I also kind of indirectly spoiled where our last Time Flute is, but yeah. I'm going to have to purify Metagross manually though, that's not going to be good. Also, yeah, Tyranitar is holding a nugget for some reason. But anyway, look forward to the post-game soon. Hopefully I'll be able to get my Wii or GameCube hooked up to my capture device just fine. Look forward to that. And for now, post-commentary, Big Clingy, out. Well, actually, I'll be out after this bit of fail channel. It's going to be very quick, trust me. So, where I failed was actually against Ryder Della. This time he actually led with Sharpedo, which was a bad thing for me, as you'll see. Yeah, I had a different set of leads this time. I had Suicune and Danbury. Eventually decided it would be better to lead with Kick Face. Once again, we have the confirmation that Absol is a Shadow Pokemon, which is bad because it is pretty fragile. So let's see what I ended up doing. Surf will probably do a fair bit to that, Absol. Yeah, I think I've already realized my mistake here. I don't think past me at this point knew that that Sharpedo had Earthquake, but yeah, you'll see. Switching out to Jumpluff just to make sure that I'm able to both Giga Drain that Sharpedo and put the Absol to sleep, but here comes my Surf. Kind of interesting that Suicune outspeed the Sharpedo. Crit the Absol, which is not good, because of what's coming. I feel like this might have carried the Absol even though I didn't crit though. Yeah, it's hitting Suicune. I don't really care about that. I care more about the fact that it hit Absol. So yeah, because I wanted to snag all of these Shadow Pokemon in one go, I had to restart here. So, that is it for the fail channel.